Blog Talk Radio.
Namaste. I welcome you with great love and great respect to the Meditative Living show. I am His Holiness Swami Shivananda Giri. I will be your host for the next, number of minutes that we can hang out together. I represent, I represent His Holiness Mahamandaleshwar Paramahamsa Swarupananda Vishwaguru Maharaj. That's my teacher, who is our teacher when I initiate people. And when I work with people, it's all to further this man's knowledge and achievements. What he achieved within himself, you can also achieve within yourself. He has trained me and empowered me to go out into the interweb nets and spread the word. Let people know what's going on. Show them the path that leads back home. The original home. Everyone's home. Whether they live on this planet or any other. All of these bodies that you see and interact with all come from one place, one state of existence, which is wholeness, unity, non-difference, one without a second. And this is a knowing that you are entirely entitled to. That's the whole plan with this aspect of creation. To see, will, the individuated units of consciousness seek out and return to their source? Or will they do something else and just play with the with the toys that are presented to them? Because that's really, in a nutshell, what's going on. Each of us, born on this planet, in this physical body at this moment, are on a path of return to our original and natural, effortless condition or state, or however you like to term it. We have all come from the same thing. In that thing, if we could even term it as a thing, there are no other things at all. So a forgetting has to take place. That's where your part comes in. On the individualized level, you had to forget completely that you are this natural, infinite, and eternal self, the singularity. So what happens is this forgetting occurs. In Sanskrit, this is referred to as Maya, M-A-Y-A. And that Maya speaks of the illusory nature of what it is we see and interact with every day. Now, it is illusion in that it is not the absolute and a correct perception of truth. In that way, it is illusory. But it is not false. It is freaking real. I know a lot of yogi folk who would like to say, oh, well, this is all an illusion, nothing to... In a sense, that's correct, but in the purest sense of the word illusion, which would then mean not real, that is not the case. We are involved in it all the way through. From its beginning to its end, right in the middle, we are everywhere within it all the time. All the time. We have forgotten this and come up believing ourselves to be these individuated units of consciousness entrapped in these physical bodies and subject to whatever surrounds and conditions the physical bodies. That's the way it is supposed to work. Because, like I said, the objective here is, will everything come home, or will it be lost in the also infinite number of plays going on within consciousness? Trillions of characters, trillions of storylines, other levels of existence, other types of beings. All that stuff is also very real, but you will not hear this Swami teaching anyone how to access and interact with or control any of that other stuff. I don't give a fig about any of that. It's all there, and when through your practice you get exposed to it, we will then discuss it. No problem. But I'm not sending anybody off to venture about in the astral realm or the causal realm or the supracausal realm. Not on other planets, not in other dimensions, because all of these things are occurring within you. Get to the point of stillness from which all vibrational frequency is emitted, and you will know this. It is just the most direct and conscious knowledge you can have. You are all of this. Everywhere. All the time. Past, present, future, all possibilities rest within you. Again, you had to forget all this. My purpose is to remind you of this and give you means and methods to come to this discovery within yourself. It's not about memorizing books or becoming some sort of scholar or any of that. It's about going within and finding what has been sitting there waiting for you to come looking the whole time. And you haven't done that before because of Maya, because of the illusion, because of the forgetting that that is your original, natural, and effortless condition. Always been there, will always be there, can't be anything else. So you take on this forgetting, and a soul begins. For the purposes of this discussion, I would like to define soul as like a container of experiences and knowledge and mistakes, all that stuff, all the things which influence the individuation are contained within the soul. And they play out through the incarnation process. Karma is, first of all, let me just say, for anyone not really familiar with karma, it seems to me most times when people are talking about karma, it's in a negative way. And it's not just that. Great things come to you because of good karma too. Karma brings everything to you that you need. You don't have to think you need it. It just shows up. It is your karma. What you do with that is your dharma, your duty, your way of being. Okay? Everyone is influenced by their karma. There's no way to escape this until all your karmas have been played out. Now, that is where the guru comes in, where the practice comes in. Through the association with the guru, through the practice done and empowered, you burn karma. Anyone engaged in these practices that I teach is burning karma at an enormous rate and isn't even aware of it, because you don't need to be. The process is occurring. The process was ongoing before you ever became aware of it. It will continue. All you have to do is simply follow the instructions given and then come and ask questions or present issues. Talk about your problems, your desires, your whatever, you know? And it is through this association, which in Sanskrit we call satsang, which means communing with truth. This is what occurs when we talk. When I speak with you, we are having satsang. When we email one another, that is satsang. When we I am one another, that is satsang. At any time that our vibration can come together and interact, that then is satsang. And it is a blessed thing. And nifty, neat stuff happens because of it, during it, after it, all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I would like to talk a little bit about the mantra. For our practice, our primary tool is the use of the mantra. The mantra that we use is Om Namah Shivaya. That is our mantra. Now, Om, of course, is the first vibration. The primal force enabling frequency to occur. Okay? That is what the Om represents. And Om is very much the sound you will hear inside yourself once you are moving along at a fast clip in meditation. Right? And all these things come and go. Nothing is static. It doesn't just one thing happen, it stays that and never, it's not like that. But the words Namah Shivaya have a meaning that I would like to kind of go into right now. The syllable Na represents the God's concealing of your true nature. Your limitless, infinite, eternal self has to be concealed. That has to be held away from you. Na represents that aspect, that function. Ma, since the concealment occurs, the forgetting happens, something else must rise to take the place of that awareness. And that is the world, physicality, the planets, the stars, the dimensions, the realms, astral, causal, supracausal, all that stuff, okay? That is all world, okay? That is all stuff laid over what you really are, but this is what the concealing brings into view. Okay? So na is the concealing, the forgetting. Ma is the world. This then is what appears. Okay? Now within that is she. Okay, remember we're going through this syllable by syllable, so I can break this down for you, and you may have a little bit better intellectual understanding of what it is that we're doing. Na, concealment. Ma, the world. She, of course, refers to Shiva. Now, Shiva is all of it, all the time, sitting still, quiet, no problems. In this sense, you could also just put the word God in there for those who associate in that way. Okay? So we have Na, which is the concealing. Ma, which is the arising of the world and all things associated with it. She, again, referring to Shiva, which for us is not just the character, image one associates with the Hindu triumvirate, or, the god of destruction. Well, yes, it is that, but using the word destruction is really wrong, in my opinion. Because the realization of Shiva, of the totality, the singularity, is what destroys the ignorance. So while it may be considered destruction, it's not destruction of anything valuable. You lose nothing. In fact, by losing this nothing, you gain everything. That's pretty much the way it works. So, we have Na, the concealing. Ma, the world which arises due to the concealing. She, Shiva. Va. Now we're moving into the higher end of the process involved, okay? We started with Na and the concealment of what you are and this apparent separation between you and everything else. Ma, the world. She, Shiva. Then we have Va, V-A. This refers to the revealing grace, which is given to you by the masters. And it is found exclusively within you. But it requires a master who has already become free of this to point you in that direction and keep putting your nose back in that direction all the time. Okay? So, we have Na, the concealment. Ma, the world which comes up due to the concealment. She, which stands for Shiva. The all, the complete. Va, the grace by which things are revealed to you from within, through experience. Sometimes there's, stuff to do with books and things, but really that sort of content in your life really just triggers things that are at a much deeper level you didn't have conscious access to. It'll trigger something, and then this knowing will arise. Okay? Va, the revealing. It is grace. It is given to you. It's nothing you had to work to earn. It's just given to you. You're not in debt because of it. It is just given. Now the last syllable, Ya, is you, the soul, the jiva, the individuated unit of consciousness. So, when you do the mantra and you say Om Namah Shivaya, you are recreating from the inside the process which produced everything you see. All conditions, all of it. When you say Om Namah Shivaya, from the Om arises the process through the agency of vibrational frequencies. And then we repeat Om again after the Namah Shivaya. So in this way, we are recognizing the arising of everything and the returning of everything back to that original vibration. So when you are doing mantra, this is what you're doing on an intellectual kind of level. Also, the 5 elements are represented in this mantra. Na represents earth. Ma is water. Shi is fire. Va is air. And Ya is ether, or the akasha. Okay, that which is more subtle than all those other things. All right? There's a lot of different meanings to this stuff, but I just want to lay a few of them on you now, so that if there was any confusion in you, we can wipe that away. Now, just the practice of Namah Shivaya has such power that just intoning these syllables will free someone from bondage. The bondage of the externalized intellect. Because every bit of empirical knowledge you have gained through your senses or reading or whatever, all of that is bondage. Truly. None of that will liberate you. None of that will enlighten you. You may agree with it on an intellectual level. You may believe it, but until you experience it directly and consciously, belief is the best you can do. And then it's replaced by knowledge. Once you have directly and consciously had association with the truth. And this can come in a number of different ways. Okay? It's not all thought related. Because the end of this is the mind slowing down. Your mind, from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep. If you do not do meditation, your mind is running that whole time with no break on it whatsoever. Just random crap most of the time. And due to our socio-economic situation on planet Earth and the manipulation of people's thoughts and frequency manipulation due to technology and all these things that are going on, these keep you from ever getting close to the truth. It must keep your senses occupied and straining to get more. The senses cannot be satiated. They are endless pits. Input goes in, nothing comes out. They're useful, but they don't need to run your life. Nor does mind. Mind is great. Mind does what mind is supposed to do, but it just does way too much of it in most of us. And it runs with all this crap that is of no use whatsoever. All the fearful stuff, all the angry stuff, all the lustful stuff, all the greed. The three gates to a hellish existence are lust, anger, and greed. If you are pursuing thoughts of that nature, you are carrying yourself into a hellish existence. Through the practice of the mantra and through meditation, those things to which you were once accustomed and chasing will simply fall away. They will just not matter anymore. Or if they do show up, it flashes for a second, that's it, done. And you will no longer be one of these people who sits around pissed off most of the time because of the psychopaths doing their psychopath stuff, or whatever else causes you, or not causes, but just triggers anger. Anger is a totally destructive force. It has proper utilization, yes, but until you have cleared yourself of the use of anger, it's very difficult to produce the proper utilization of anger. And when you do get to that point, the anger will surface in you for a second, a minute, a very, very short amount of time. And whatever needs do is done, and that's that. So it becomes real simple. And you don't sit around playing the tapes or videos over and over in your head and in your mind of whatever it is that pisses you off. In that way, you become existent in a hellish state by remaining angry. And this does not mean that you should let people walk all over you and use you and all that stuff. No, 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 no. I want you to be powerful enough that when you need to say no, you can do that without problem, without any delusion getting in the way of you saying No. That will be enough of that. It is totally your right to do this. And as you do the mantra, what happens is the mantra will sort of turn the intellect in on itself, so that the ignorance held there, and please, ignorance is not a judgmental word. Ignorance only means lack of knowledge. All right? So it's only the darkness. But through the mantra, you turn and can begin to perceive the intellect and the mental processes going on. And when you begin to notice these things, you can then begin to go, oh, wow, yeah, I used to do that a lot, but that doesn't seem like such a good idea anymore. All sorts of things occur within you due to this direct perception of the state of not knowing, or the state of error. Okay? So thoughts, ways of thinking will fall away. Behaviors will fall away. Habits will fall away. Because you will just see them to be totally useless. Why am I doing this? This is stupid. So you just kind of stop. And that's even if you engage in thought process regarding each and every aspect. And that doesn't happen for most people. These processes are playing out within you. Okay? And you don't have to be aware of all of it at all. It's going to happen. This is what is designed to happen through the use of the mantra. And when the mantra is given to you by a Shaktipat master, you receive a subtle empowerment that connects you, when doing that, with what the master knows. And this is all very subtle stuff that doesn't have anything to do with physical senses or the individuated mind. But the connection is still there and very real. So Om Namah Shivaya is the surest protection and weaponry that we can outfit ourselves with as we move forward in this scary, scary time. Now, another term I would like to go into, we're doing some vocabulary in education today. The guru, his title is Maha Mandeleshwar. Now, on the planet Earth, there are 80 Maha Mandeleshwars. He was the first white American to become invited into this group by his peers. Maha Mandeleshwar means superior of numerous monasteries, is a basic way to say this. the master of many ashrams. Okay? And when the Mahamandeleshwars first came about, they basically functioned like generals. Because at that time in India was during the warring between the Hindus and the Muslims. And the Muslims have this thing about attacking and killing the holy men of Hinduism. And this hasn't really stopped. In the country of Kashmir, which is where Kashmir Shaivism comes from, which is what I teach. Even just in the 90s, the masters of Kashmir Shaivism were being genocided, scrubbed from the country of Kashmir by the Muslims. Okay? So, knowing how to protect yourself becomes rather important. And in the beginning of this, they were warrior monks who protected the areas that they were responsible for. And the Mahamandeleshwars were effectively generals. And they would have swamis under them who would then go out and teach and assist people and that sort of thing. So this is what we're doing today. The Mahamandeleshwars are awakening armies of masters on this planet. And when I say awakening masters, it's not about combat. It's a spiritual thing. Knowing the truth. Seeing it for what it is. Understanding what is going on and knowing how to help others reach that same state. This is the effort we are engaged in at this time. The objective is not to have people follow us around and bow to our feet and, that stuff. No. That's not what it's about. It's about you waking up completely to what is real, what is true, what is effortless, and what is naturally within you. You just forgot. You only forgot. And you had to forget. It's not a punishment or anything like that. Nothing negative about it. It's just the way the process plays out in this portion of creation. So, that is what Mahamandeleshwar means. All right? And His Holiness was assigned the task by his master to bring this knowing, this teaching, into the Western mind. So that's what we do. We try to keep the Sanskrit stuff, or at least I do, as minimal as possible for people in the beginning, because it just kind of becomes confusing. So we try to westernize it and speak about these things in a way a Western person will understand. without having to learn a new language and a new culture. Now, those of us doing this have been deeply submerged in the tradition, but the objective of that was to then express it through our Western natures and help others to realize they can do this too. Okay. Reset. Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Namaste.
Namaste, Swami. So, yeah, we have a caller on the line. I don't know if you want to try getting to that.
Yes, please.
Okay, I believe it's Michael calling in.
Namaste. Is this Mike?
Yes. Can you hear me? Namaste.
I can.
Okay, good.
Where are you today?
I'm still at the Hare Krishna Ashram in Scotland.
Scotland. All right.
Yes.
How's practice?
It's been going well. Have you seen the emails I sent the last 2 weeks?
I have seen everything you've sent.
Okay, so yeah, so you know I've bumped up my time to 45 minutes per session.
Great.
And
Any issues with that? Any discomfort because of it?
no, not really. I'm basically
Good.
back to where I was earlier, where I basically am having to stretch myself a bit to do it, but I think that's what's supposed to be happening.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. One thing I did want to discuss with you, we sort of got into a discussion of Rudraksha last time we spoke.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure that when you're using it, okay. The way I recall is that you said you were just sitting there holding it, not counting off the repetitions. Is this correct?
Varies. Sometimes I'll just hold it. Other times I'll just, every time I do a repetition, just move the bead and not pay too much attention to it.
That's what you should do all the time, nothing else.
So
Sitting holding it, you might as well sit and hold a turd. Makes no difference.
Okay.
You're not doing the thing, okay? So I just wanted to make sure you understood that each time you do the mantra, you should click off a bead until you get back to the guru bead or your time ends. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if you don't, I don't know at what pace you're moving with it, but if you don't get through a full, you don't have to finish the round in order to be doing the right thing. Okay, right now you're utilizing time measurement rather than the number of rounds or beads, okay? But keep the beads moving with every repetition. See, it's by doing that one of the things that does is help people to keep from falling asleep, and it gives the body something to do during the meditation, which will calm the mind somewhat. Because, people are used to moving and doing and all that sort of thing. So then when you sit, it can become somewhat internally frustrating to the system to not be moving. So we utilize that in a way that will help.
Yeah, I have one other question about the beads, Swami.
Sure.
Something I've learned from the Hare Krishnas when they do their beads is that when they get to the Krishna bead / Guru bead, they turn the whole set of beads around and go back the way they came. Should I do that, or should
you never cross that? Right.
Okay.
Do that all the time.
All right.
You never cross the guru bead, or that you can call it anything you like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's what it is. but yes, it is. You turn it, and then you go back and count back the way you came.
All right.
Yep. Absolutely appropriate.
Anything else I should know about these?
It's not jewelry, so wearing it, going to Walmart or whatever is not really what we should do. It's
Don't
a
worry,
tool.
it's just in its bag.
Okay. Yeah. So when one gets one of these, it's not jewelry to go wear out in public. It's not about that at all. So never do that. I wear my beads when there is a reason to wear them. That's it. They are a tool that assists us in reaching the goal. That's it.
Okay.
There are also lots of people who go off, who really go off into the different types of beads and the different faces on the beads and all kinds of weird stuff. Don't bother with any of that. Use the tool as it's designed to be used. You'll get the effect with a minimum of confusion.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Great. Thank you for calling in from Scotland.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy to have you on board. Hey, when are you coming back to the U.S. anytime soon? Or
Probably not. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure yet.
It is what it is. That's all right.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Absolutely.
Good. Good. Thank you very much. Reset, is there anything about your practice you would like to bring up?
Well, one thing you had said, it kind of stuck with me earlier. There's been a lot of, stresses down here lately, and so, the mantra, definitely helps me relieve the stress. I think I was telling you, the other day that there's a couple next door, and I, just kind of started saying the mantra in my head, and then, just kind of put my hand on the wall, and a little while later it had died down. I'm noticing this more and more because, I was on the phone with Carolyn, and we were having a bit of an argument because I guess some wires got crossed or something, so there's, she thought one thing, I thought another, and she just got angry. and you were saying, if you know when to use anger, it can really be a useful tool. I wasn't, lashing out at her, but she needed someone to scream in her ear for a second so she could just hear what was going on because she just wasn't willing to listen to anyone. Used that I was angry for, maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then after that, I would just cool down after I got off the phone with her. It was really easy to do. But right then, I needed to be angry, and I don't like getting angry lately.
Well, but there is a purpose for it from time to time. And, there have been gurus who were just angry sons of bitches. And if you trained under them, they would just crush you. That's not the least bit unusual. Okay. All right? But that was just their way. That's just the way they did it, Personally, I try, it's not really a trying. I just don't find myself needing to be angry. So if it's appropriate, I've got no issue with it whatsoever. But most of the time, it's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
My thing is about interacting on an individual level with anyone who wants to do this and just addressing whatever their issue may be at the time that we communicate. And what the issue is or isn't doesn't really matter at all. It's present. It's occurring. So some guidance may be necessary and appropriate.
Okay.
Sometimes I leave people to kind of kind of flop about for a while. To find that the flopping did them no good whatsoever, and they were just basically sitting there hitting themselves in the face with a hammer over and over again and complaining about pain.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it goes that way. And then there's times when Shakti hits, which is when the sensory things happen, tingles and feelings of upliftment and bliss and simple contentment is huge. If you can find a spot where you're just content, this is a great thing. You know? So anything that leads in that direction, that's what we're here to do. And I just want to applaud you because you could very easily be sitting somewhere else doing things only concerned about reset.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not doing that. You're doing something very different. And we love you for doing that. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I know Carolyn, she's, she wish she could be here. She wanted me to say hello for her. She's, telling me that she's been doing, meditation lately. I haven't actually seen her doing this, but I don't know. I guess it is kind of one of those things you do by yourself. So,
well, that's really better.
Yeah.
If you guys could do it together, that would be most groovy.
Right.
But if that doesn't work out, that's fine. But if you two could be in the same space,
mm-hmm.
it would be helpful.
Okay.
And so just, let the universe lead you into that situation. Don't seek it out. Just
okay.
When it occurs, you'll find it's going to be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the more who are gathered and doing these sorts of things, remember when I spoke of, the generals rousing the armies of masters, this is what we do. This is how we fight, by manipulating frequency. We are having all sorts of frequency manipulation turned against us. Let us now, from the inside, manipulate our frequency to the point where we are bulletproof to them. And pouring great things into our environments. That's the way it works. That's what the waking up thing is about. And that's why the Mahamandeleshwar and myself are doing this. We're not charging anybody money. We just want to help. I want you to be completely enlightened and liberated in this body as quickly as possible. That's it. That's all. Because you'll figure all the rest out on your own. But through doing the mantra, this wisdom will literally burst out of you. It'll leak out a little bit at first, but later on, it just comes pouring out. You can't stop it, and you don't even think about it. It just happens. It's happening now.
All right, so we are in the last 40 seconds of the show.
All righty. Namaste, everyone. If you would, hit our outro music. We love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. Namaste.